Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first session of 2022. We have great presentations for you all, and I will present you now with our speakers, today's speakers. First of all, we have Scott Kozier, who is product designer in PrestaShop. Secondly, we have Daniel Hlavacek, who is community contributor. We have Mahfoud Parvazi, who is also a community contributor. We have also presentations by Jonathan, who is a core maintainer, and Valentine, who is also a core maintainer. Let's go to today's agenda. First of all, I will present you with the event rules. Secondly, we have an announcement about the new version of PrestaShop. And then we will have 4 amazing demos for you. First of all, Valentin and Scott will talk about the new theme that is coming to PrestaShop. Mahmoud will talk about improvements for RTL languages. Jonathan will talk about Behat tests and how he managed to improve the test time. And last but not least, Daniel will talk about improvements introduced in filter module and customer managements. In the end, we will have a Q&A session, but if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask them right now because the stream is a bit delayed. So don't worry, we will have Q&A session at the end of the event. Second rule is that the event is about PrestaShop open source project. So please, let's keep PrestaShop company off topic. This event is public and recorded, so you'll be able to watch the recording of the demo afterwards on YouTube. And last but not least, please respect each other. Please follow the code of conduct of our project, of course. And we have one announcement today. PrestaShop 1783 was released a couple of days ago. This patch release fixes 25 regressions reported since the initial release of the 178 and one security issue. As always, we highly encourage you to update your PrestaShop. It's only a patch version, so it shouldn't be hard to update to the newest version. And let's go to the demos. We have really amazing demos for you today. So we are starting with the demo called New PrestaShop Theme presented by Valentin and Scott. So I will ask Valentin and Scott on the stage.
Hello,
Guys,
everyone.
I think you
Yes,
start. Scott or Valentin, who will start presenting?
I will start the presentation first.
All right. Can you
Okay.
show your screen?
Yes, of course. Um, oh, can you see my screen?
Yes. Okay. Good luck, guys.
Yes. For those who doesn't know me, I'm Scott, and I'm a product designer working for the core. And today we are gonna present you with Valentin, the new PrestaShop theme that we're working on lately. So to give a little bit of context, this new theme project was launched to improve the user experience and also to bring it up to date because the theme wasn't worked on and it was a little bit old. And of course, it will be benefits for the theme developers because they will be able to build on a cleaner base. Like the current team has a lot of bugs, so we fixed that, especially alignment, for example, the search and stuff like that. So it will be better for them to build on a cleaner base. Um, so what we're gonna present is the different pages we've worked on. I will start with the home page. As you can see here, it's the desktop version. Overall, the page and its element use all the space. As you can see, the image cover is way wider, the header also. It's better, and overall, the theme is more visual. You see just at the bottom of the image cover, the categories is really highlighted with images, so it's really more visual. And if you look at the bottom of the screen, you will see a button. This is the view all products button that has been changed. um, it looks more like a button, so it's better, it's more affordant, and it looks like a real button. And of course, we made the improvement on the product list. As you can see, the colors are displayed in the product list and without any hover, so it allows customers to see the different variations without hovering the product. Moving on to the structure, the newsletter block is easier to identify with its gray background, and same as the footer with a dark blue background. Of course, you can personalize it, but it's a better structure because you can easily differentiate those different sections. And also, the banner is now wider, so it looks more like a promo banner. We made also improvements on the quick view. As you can see, the quick view icon has changed into a more significant one. To keep consistency, we use the eye icon, and currently we were using the search, but it wasn't really the best icon, because the search means the search, and it wasn't really fitting the feature, which was the quick view. And the button on the screen below is wider and easier to reach, easier to click on, so it's more affordant than before. And now the responsive part. It's really important for us to work on the responsive, because most of customers buy their products with their phone. So we've worked a little bit on the structure. As you can see, the search now is placed in the header and becomes an expandable search, so it's more discrete. And overall, same as the desktop, the theme is more visual and is more visual. The next page we've worked on is the product page, especially in terms of structure. As you can see, the description and the product details are placed on the left, and they can be expanded and also collapsed, because the description can be very very long, and customers are able to hide the description if they don't want to read it. And also because we put the description and product details on the left side, because when users scroll, um, the right side, the right part of this page, the name of the product, the description, the price, the attributes will be fixed. So anytime the customers will access the add to cart button, so it's easier for them to add the button to their cart. Um what will happen on responsive? The product image is bigger, so it's really edge to edge, and the description and the product details can be expanded also on mobile to save some space, as you can see on the right screen. The next one is the category page on the still on desktop. The image banner, sorry, is bigger, so it's better when merchants want to put forward the category with image to illustrate the category. And we made improvement on the faceted search. Now the each attributes can be collapsed, because we know that some website has a lot of attributes and a lot of variations, and that's why we made those section collapsed. Um, And on responsive, the filters also changed. Now, if you look at the right screenshots, you can see that there are two filters applied. It's more it's easier to understand because there is a number next to the filters, and also there is um, tags category in the size large that you can easily manage. You can erase it or erase them all by clicking on the clear all button. And if you want to add another filter, you have to click on the filter button, and then the filter by page will appear on full screen, and then you can edit, you can add the filters you want to add. You just have to click on the apply, and then it will be okay. The next improvements are on the card page. Um, we made improvements in the discard page, so the merchants can edit their cards. If, for example, if they want to change to simply change the size or simply the colors, they will be able to do it. Currently, they cannot, so they have to go back to the product page and then add the product in the same in another size. So it's really complicated. And now it's better because they can do it on this page directly. On responsive, we improve the structure. As you can see now, there is a really distinction between the shopping cart and the order summary. It's easier to understand. It's clearer. And of course, you can also edit the attributes, the size, the colors on your mobile devices. Last but not least, we made improvements on the checkout. In terms of structure, as you can see here, we've added the stepper for customers because first it allows customers to navigate through completed steps, and also because it allows customers to understand to know where they are in the checkout process. And also we add the back button on below next to the continue button, so they can go back to the previous steps. And also we changed the wording because it currently we had just the wording continue on the button, but it wasn't really explicit. So it's important for users and customers to understand where they will be redirected if they click on the button. So now the wording is continue to shipping method. So it really says where the user will be headed. And of course, same for the back button. And on the mobile devices on responsive, the unfortunately the stepper cannot be the same because of the size issue. Some mobile devices are really the screens are really small, so it will be really hard for them to read. That is why we use the radio stepper to help customers knowing where they are in the checkout process. And we made a little bit of change on the order summary. By default is hidden, but you can click on it to show the details of the product on your basket, on your cart. And that's it for the product. And now I will let Valentin present you the technical part of this project. Thank you very much. Oh, sorry.
Yes, Scott.
I'm sorry. It wasn't the last one. This is the last one, the My Account page. We made improvement on the navigation. Currently, the customers had to click 2 times to go to change the page. For example, they're in the personal information and they want to go to the wish list. They had to go back and then click on the wish list page, and now the customers can access to the other pages with a single click. As you can see, the menu on the left, it's way easier for them, and also they can visualize all the different pages available. And unfortunately, on responsive, it's really hard to have the same features, uh, but we have the breadcrumb. Unfortunately, they will still have to click 2 times, but we have the breadcrumb, so they can go back to the previous page and navigate. And I think that's it. Yes, that's it. So I will let Valentin present you the technical information, the technical part of this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you for the project presentation. So I'm gonna present the technical part of the project because as it's a complete refactor of the theme, we want to improve the technical part of this theme. So what are we doing? Actually, the team use Bootstrap 5, and we did remove a lot of custom variables that we were using on the classic theme before. We are doing a complete CSS markup and JavaScript refactor. It means that we are redoing the whole markup, the whole styling, and probably the whole JavaScript in the future. We decided to choose a special pattern. We split the custom style from PrestaShop and from the Bootstrap style. It means that you will be able to have the theme with the default Bootstrap style and with the PrestaShop mockups you just seen by Scott. The JavaScript refactor should split the logic as much as we can. I mean, we need to split the API from the DOM manipulation, for example. What we want to do is add as much blocks as we can because it's easier for modules and team developers to deal with it. The design, as Scott just showed you, is completely reworked, and we need to change a lot of the structure of the team. Some months ago, I asked you what was the hardest pain points you encountered working with the classic theme. Here are some pain points you responded to us, like just remove jQuery because the classic theme was using jQuery everywhere. Currently, we won't be able to remove it because a lot of modules are relying on it, but at least the team should not use it anymore. We need to use lazy loading everywhere, but I think the classic theme is still using it a lot today, but we will do it on the new theme anyway. We will use a special pattern in order to develop the markup and the CSS called BEM. It means that it will be way more maintainable in the future. JSON LD everywhere. I think the classic theme almost do it at the moment, but we will do it on the new team anyway. We really want to use as much CSS variables as we can, so every modules and child themes are able to modify some styles from the core theme without even rebuilding every asset. We need to remove as much dependencies as possible because the classic theme has a lot of dependencies at the moment, and the new theme should not because it's way easier to maintain it, it's way lighter. So we will use the less dependencies as possible. We want to avoid some markup replacement by the JavaScript. It's the case actually on the classic theme. Some part of the markup is completely replaced by the API, such as the product part, for example, when you choose a combination or whatever, it replaces the whole markup. It's not really easy for team developers to deal with this, so we will avoid it by just using some API, some REST API, for example, with some data and just remove change some text or image if needed, but not the whole markup anymore. We want to add as much JS events as possible, so every module developers or child teams are able to read as much events as possible and modify the behavior of the theme if they want to. And we need to use as much as possible reusable components, because it's easier for team developers to maintain the team and maintain something strong in the future. So let's speak about the current structure of the team. Actually, we have a concept with a core folder and a custom folder. The core folder contains basic styles that you need in order to run the theme. So it's the starter, it's the basic things. And the custom folder contains every PrestaShop styles that we need in order to have the scoped mockups used with the team. It means that if you remove this part, you will just have a basic Bootstrap raw theme working and not the PrestaShop styles anymore. We also have a variable folder where we split these variables into two other folders. One is for Bootstrap default variables and one is for PrestaShop variables, in case we need to add some variables for custom components, for example, or whatever. Actually, we did remove a lot of custom variables because the classic theme had a lot. Now we have like 5 variables, I think, or something like this. It's pretty cool. Okay, let's speak about the rest. So here are some variables. As you can see, accordion and badges, border radius, and all the files you see there are coming from Bootstrap. So we split every variables in their own context, but it's official Bootstrap variables overridden in order to have the colors we want or whatever. And as you can see, we still add some classes, some files related to our own variables. This has been done by a contributor. This is pretty cool. As I spoke about CSS for variables, here is an example as what we want to do on almost every component. We want to expose as much CSS variables as possible, because it's really easier for module developers and team developers to customize some styles if you have some CSS for variables. It's not compatible with really old browsers, but at least it's supported by most of modern browsers of the moment. We have a small problem about this, is that Bootstrap is not exposing a lot of variables for the moment. There is a pull request and an issue in progress on the Bootstrap side, so it should be better in next month. But at the moment, not every component of Bootstrap exposes some CSS variables, so it's independent on us, I mean. Let's show you a small example for people who don't know it, but I think most integrators know BEM. As you can see, we use a special pattern while developing markups on the team. It means that we are composing our code using components, and as you can see the classes, this is the way we are still developing. What's the current state of the project? I did some slides in order to show you some things we integrated, but I think most have been seen with Scott. Actually, we have 27 closed issues. It means that we did the work for 27 issues, but it's not finished yet. And 52 are still left. I think it just evolved because I did the slide like 2 weeks ago, but some issue maybe has been closed or some has been opened. So it's not for the exact numbers, I think so, but it's cool. It's mainly about HTML and CSS issues because we are focusing on the integration for the moment, not on the JavaScript and some other problems such as SEO, accessibility, and that's it. Here is an example of the header which has been integrated and refactored by me and Daniel Ashlaftox that you will hear of after this presentation because he's doing a demo. So as you can see, we have the new search component, which is not using the JavaScript of the module because we needed to consume his API in a different way that the module does. And we're still using BEM everywhere and default bootstrap components for everything, such as columns, such as dropdowns, and whatever. As you can see, we did the responsive on this component because every time we do something, we try to integrate the responsive at the same moment, so it's not needed to do it in the future. And here is how is looking the menu and the header on responsive and the search component. I think we will see it later because I'm going to show you the project, the current state of the project in local. Here is the footer. It's using default bootstrap components for the columns. And as you can see here, it's also using accordion on mobile. Let's explore the project. I'm going to share you my screen on the project. Just wait a minute. And I think it's this one. Yes. Okay. Christian, can you please put my screen on the... Okay, thank you. So as you can see, this is the current state of the project. It's not finished yet. We did a lot of work at the moment, but it's a big job. You can see the header, which has been refactored. There are some little problems with the menu because it's not really finished yet. We want to use the default bootstrap drop down for this element with maybe something in order to just hover the menu. As you can see, the list has been completely refactored and the markup is now pretty fine. The quick view has been fixed by a contributor that you will hear of after this demo too. It's Empervazi. The list is also completely responsive, so you now have 2 columns in mobile. I think it's the same for the classic theme on the develop branch. So we almost use the same system of columns. You can also see the footer there. This part has also been done. You can see the menu there, so you're able to navigate between a different depth of pages that you set in your menu. These things are using default bootstrap components. It means that we don't have to maintain this behavior except the navigation between every depth. You can see the search there, and you can still search and scroll inside every items. Where did I click? I think I clicked on the category. The pagination use the default bootstrap component too. I think we can see it on this page. Yes, and you can still navigate between items. I did a refactor of the faceted search component too. It's not really finished yet because I want to change a lot of the markup, which looks not really proper to me, but at least it's using default bootstrap components without any tweaks. We still removed the old bar of faceted search, which was using jQuery UI. Now we are still using no UI sidebar. Or I don't remember the name of this component, but yeah, and did refactor the JavaScript in order to make it work with faceted search, as you can see, with a beautiful loader and yes, no UI slider, and you're able to just play with faceted search as you were able to do it with classic theme before. Let's speak a bit about your account page. You now have every links disponible in the header. I think it's not something validated by Scott at the moment, but we did it. Let's see later. You now have the home page of the My Account pages, so you're able to navigate between every pages there. If I click on the navigation component, you're still able to go to every page, and the navigation component is still staying on every pages. So basically, this is a layout every modules or items can expand in order to have the menu on the left so it should be extendable. Most of content of this page has been done, but not all yet. It's a work in progress. Most of CMS pages has been done too. Well, this is probably not the best example, but for example, the contact us page and whatever. The project page has been reworked, but it's not finished yet. There are a lot of things to do because it's a big page to refactor with a lot of modules, so it's pretty hard to keep the compatibility, but it's a work in progress too. The core page has been globally reworked, but except the product line. This is something we keep for the last things to do. And the checkout hasn't been done too, because it's a big part, really big part, and we want to work together, I think, with Daniel in order to provide the best page for you. So it should be done later. This thing has been done before some changes of Scott, so I'm not really sure it's accorded to the Scott's mockers, but at least a small part of the work has been is there. And I think that's it for me. Thank you everyone for hearing me, and I hope that you can't wait this new team, because it's a pretty big work, and we're happy to work on this. Let's see the question at the end of the demo, I think so.
Yeah, thank you guys. Really amazing job. And yeah, there are a couple of questions, but we will answer them at the end of the event. And thank you once again, guys. I will now invite you on the stage, Mahmoud, who will present improvements for right to left languages. So I'm inviting you now. Okay.
So, hello everyone.
You are live, so I will leave you on the stage.
Okay, thank you. I want to talk about some improvements has been done in back office currently. The first one and second one has been fixed. Most of the RTL problems in back office, and the third one is more important because it will be used for modern email 10. In current theming for modern email 10, we have hard-coded rules for text direction.
There are some tech difficulties.
Change these rules to the.
Could you turn off your camera, because I think your connection is
Okay.
not really stable. Could you turn off your camera?
It's okay.
Okay, sure. Can continue.
So I tried to change the hard-coded rules for text direction and layout direction to the Smarty variables, then use this code for setting the values for LTR and RTL. It's very simple. When user want to generate modern email term for LTR language, these values, I mean LTR or left, will be set to the Smarty variables, and if the user want to generate the modern email term for RTL languages, these values, RTL and rights, will be set to the current variables, and it's very easy. So the important improvement that I want to talk about that is about the auto RTL for front office stems and most improvements for back office stems. So what does it mean, auto RTL? The auto RTL already is implemented in Tem Refacto, but we need some little changes in core for managing this feature. First of all, when you want to make an adopted RTL adopted theme, you try to use the theme config file you can use to add RTL underline generation to the config file. And then we use this config file to manage the RTL generation for themes. So how it works, it tries to read the RTL underline generation from config file, theme config file. And if its value is false, then it's skip generating RTL for selected theme. But if this variable RTL underline generation is not existing in the theme config file, then as before, the SI sheet generator try to generate RTL files for theme. So this is the process for AutoRTL. User try to select a theme. The core try to get RTL generation from the theme config file. If this option is not exist or its value is set to true, then try to generate RTL SI sheet. But if the variable is exist and its value is set to false, then alert to the user that theme is already RTL adopted. So let's see in action about this process. User selected the classic theme and try to generate RTL SL sheet, and it works as before. But user selected the theme refactor, it's already RTL adopted, and then alert to user that theme is already RTL adopted. So another improvement for back office theming is related to RTL fix file. We have some files as theme.rtl fix for overriding RTL rules for back office themes. It will be used just for RTL override rules, and it will be generated with this comment. The current theme file will be transformed to the RTL, and the content of RTL fix file will be appended to the theme.css, transform theme.css. So what's the problem about this file? It's the first and important problem about this file is that it's not maintainable, because all the rules for theming in backoffice has been done with SAS rules, but this file contains just CSS rules. So it would be very hard for a developer to find correct override rules for RTL. And it would be very hard for QA team, of course. So what's the solution? It's very simple. We can delete the RTL fix file from the public folders, and we need to create a SAS file for RTL, and then we content the override rules inside the SCSS file, and then we use the webpack for converting this file to the CSS file. And we need to prevent transforming this file with the SIG generator. So we need to add a code for preventing for converting this file to the RTL again. And then if the context language is RTL, we need to add this file, link this file to the pages in RTL. Thank you. Thank you for watching.
Thank you. Yeah, I see that you talked about the work that has been done already and the future of right to left languages. So we hope to see more improvements in the future. Thank you again. And now I will ask Jonathan to present for us the improvements that he made for Behat testing.
Yes, thank you, Christine. So today I'm going to talk to you about some improvements that we did for our Behat tests, which are behavioral tests that are implemented in PrestaShop, mostly to test all our CQRS commands. Just before I start, I'm going to try to launch the whole suite during the length of the presentation, and hopefully by the end, it should be all over. So let's go back to this. So first thing that we improved recently, we have a system to check some exceptions that are thrown during our command testing. Basically, we use exception when we are validating some stuff during an action, and if some criteria are not met, we throw exception to indicate that the input parameters are not valid, for example, or that the action is not allowed. So to assert that this validation expects as it should during the test, we need to catch the exception during our testing. So for example, here, I'm trying to update an NPN value with content that is not valid because it's too long or it has spaces. I'm not sure exactly what the rule is, but anyway, this is not a valid value for MPN field. And so when the command is executed, manufacturer exception or problem will be thrown, and we catch this exception and store it temporarily so that we can validate it in the second step. And then so this step in MPN is actually executing this script, which checks that the last exception that we have caught was the expected field type, and it's about the field that we were validating. So that's basically how it was working until then. The problem is that the way we catch the exception may be sometimes too wide, and some exception could have been thrown without us realizing that they were actually being triggered. So a scenario could happen and all the tests would be green, and we wouldn't see that an exception was thrown, which could be problematic and hide some mistakes. So now we have an automatic exception checking. So basically, we store the exception, but we expect it to be asserted in the next step. And if it's not, then we consider it as an unexpected exception. And in this case, we stop the execution of the script, or at least we indicate that there was an error. And you will see a message indicating you that an unexpected exception was raised in previous step, and it will give you the previous steps details and which kind of exception has been thrown. So I thought it was all this happened automatically, but I thought it was important to tell people about it so that in case you encounter with such a use case, don't be surprised because it would be an exception not for the last step, but the one just before that. So this will make our product, our Behat test much more stable in the future, hopefully. But that's not the most interesting part that we improved. Yeah, if you want to have more info about how we perform this checking, you can see in this class abstract domain feature context, which is common to all our domain feature, and which enables this exception storing and checking, and the related PR, which improved it. So let's talk about optimization now. So we have a lot of tests of Behat tests in PrestaShop. So one could argue, what do you need to optimize it? Why don't you optimize your code first? Which is relevant, but the thing is that we rely a lot on our Behat test to validate all the code that we are producing. So they are growing bigger and bigger, and it was getting really, really long to execute the whole CI that is launched for each PR in GitHub. And it was even more complicated when you wanted to launch the whole suite, test suite in your local environment when you need to be sure that your modification didn't break anything. And it used to take me hours to launch the whole suite, which was nearly impossible. So most of the time we needed to push our modification and see if the CI was happy or not, which is not ideal. And to debug it, it's even more complicated. So to give you a little bit of details about our Behat test, you can see how they have been growing since the 176. I believe it's the first version which integrated Behat test. They have grown quite a lot during the 177 because of other page, which includes a lot of scenarios. Even more during 178, which includes most of the comments of the product page, which is under migration. And so as you can see, we went from 3 minutes in 176 to nearly half an hour in the recent scenarios that were launched in the develop branch, which started to get quite long. And the scenario are just going to be even more numerous. So it's natural that they will take time, but we thought that would be better if we could reduce this time a little bit. And so I won't tell you right now how much time it takes us now because it would kill all the fun. So we'll see at the end of the demonstration. So basically, the strategy that we use, we realized that what takes us the more time during the execution of our test was not the tests themselves, but more the database features that we have that we need to execute our test. So basically, when you run all the Behat tests, the first thing to do is to run a fresh install in a test database. So you will have the same data as you can have when you test the demo fixtures of a PrestaShop. And this is the basic feature that we need to run all the tests after that. So to avoid installing the whole shop at each time, which would take way too long, we perform the installation and then we create a database dump. So it's an SQL file which represents the whole database. And that's what we use to reset our database. So basically, it's just stored in a single file. And when we need to reset the database content, we would use this dump and reinitiate the whole database. The problem is that it can be quite long because even if you only modify a few pieces of information in your database, you would need to restore the whole database, which is way too long compared to what the little modifications that you have done. So we needed to improve this. And the idea was to divide and rule, which is often a strategy that has proven efficient. So the idea is that we don't actually dump or reload the whole database, but we split all the dump that we had on a table base. So each table in the database will be dumped in a dedicated file. This way we can easily restore only one table. So for example, if you are working on product tests, you don't need to restore the order tables or the customer or anything. You can just restore the product table, which is the one that you modified. So when you switch from one test to another, it's much faster to restore your database to start the next test. Additionally, we thought that it would be nice to have to be sure that even if you tell the software to restore your database, maybe you didn't actually modify it because you will tell, okay, you can restore all the product related tables, even if you're not sure you modify them. But in this case, it could take a little extra time that would not be needed. So to avoid this, when the dump are created, we perform a checksum request in SQL, which is similar to a checksum that you would perform on a file or on a string. And it gives you a checksum value of the current content of your table. And all those checksums are stored for each table. So basically, when we create the initial dumps for all the test environments, you will find here, so it's the global dump that has all the database, because it can still be useful to restore everything if needed. And then we find for each table that is present in the database, an SQL file, which is the same thing as the dump, but only for this table, and an associated MD5 file, which allows us to check the checksum at any point. So when I ask to restore, for example, PS access, we perform a checksum request on the current content in the database. And if it's different from the one that was stored in these files, then we know that some changes were made. And so we execute the dump to restore the table. So all this has been made with basically one class that we use as a tool that allows you to restore, create some dumps, and we made some static functions so that it can be used more easily. So you can give him a list of tables, for example, that you need to restore, or maybe a regex to match tables. So it can be useful, for example, when you want to restore all the database related to language, you will say h1 star underscore lang. Or if you want to restore all shop related database, you can say star underscore shop, for example. So these are useful tools to help developers improve their restore mechanism. So for now, it's in PrestaShop bundle install namespace, but it will likely be moved before the release of the 8.0 in another namespace, because this tool is only used for tests, so it shouldn't be in the install namespace, but that's still to be decided. So anyway, how do we use this new feature inside the Behat test? You have several access points for this feature. So the more basic and quick one is a Behat step, when you just say, I restore tables, and you can give a list of tables that you need to be restored, separated by commas. And so basically it will perform, so this is the actual Behat step. It will split them by comma and restore each table that was in the list. So it's an easy way to restore a bunch of tables, or even just one, when you don't need some specific rule. However, for some domain like product, for example, we needed some more custom usage. So in this case, we introduced some tags that are using some Behat feature. This tag is executed before feature, which means at the end of the whole feature file, we will execute the map function. And this function actually restores all product related tables. So for product, since it's a very big domain, you have attachment, combination, you can have customization, and so on. So there is a list of, I don't know, maybe 20, 25 tables related. So every time a Behat test for product starts, we clean everything so that we know we are back to the initial state. And it's much more useful to have a single tag to do this, because if we use the previous step, we would have a very, 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 very long line, which wouldn't be really easy to read and wouldn't be very easily maintainable, as we always need to restore the same tables anyway for products. So for those cases, the tags are much more easy to use. And for the other case, once we did that, we optimized all the product domain we had tests. So it was great, but we thought now that we have a smarter way to restore tables, maybe we could apply this to all the other existing Behat tests. We initially thought that we would have to do it on a domain per domain, like create some dedicated tags for all the order, for example, one for all the carts. So we will probably do it later. But first quick win that we could do was to introduce a new tag that would restore all tables using the system that I explained to you, which checks which the tables were modified, so that it actually targets only the modification and not all the database. Because previously we would need to restore the whole database. Now we only restore the tables that were from device. So this significantly reduced the duration time of all the tests as well. And as you can see, you have here the matching function with this tag, which is usable for any feature. So what are the results of this optimization? Basically, you can see the difference. So all this small benchmark was made on my laptop, so it's not really accurate for every environment, but at least it gives you an idea of the improvement. So for example, just a small feature for product went from over 1 minute to 2.67 seconds. The whole suite for product, which took me 45 minutes, I can now run in 2 minutes. The order, which took 74 minutes. So this one I already run it once, I think, as a whole for the benefit of this benchmark, because I had abandoned running in a whole, and it's now down to only 9 minutes. And same thing for the cart, which was a huge domain with a lot of different scenarios, which is 57 minutes to 2 minutes. So basically, you can see that those optimization, even though they are just about the database, it made us gain a lot of time. And you could argue that this is only on my machine, but actually even in the CI process. So that's the number I was hiding to you. So before the optimization, the scenario were running in around 30 minutes, and now we are under 15 minutes. So they are running twice faster with this optimization. So hopefully it's a gain for now and for the future, because we are only going to add more and more Behat tests. So this is a win-win for everyone. So that's basically what I wanted to show you. If you want to have more information, you can either look at the PR that implemented the optimization if you want to see more technical details. And this new feature and these new tags that you can use were documented. So you can also find this in our dev doc. And I guess that's almost it for me. And I just wanted to see if it worked. And I failed my demo effects, but as you can see, during this short demo, I was able to run 11,000 scenarios over 14,000. So I guess I'm 1 or 2 minutes too quick to have the final effect I was looking for. But at least let's hope that this optimization will please you. In the core team, at least, we are quite happy that we can now run the whole test locally. So
Thank you,
that's it for
Jonathan.
me.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank
I
you,
think these
Christian.
results are really amazing. Good job. And right now, I will ask Daniel to present for us the changes that he made to faceted search module and improvements in back office. All right, Daniel, the floor is yours. And you are muted, so we can't really hear you.
Now it should be fine. So again, hi guys. I wanted to show you a few small PRs I made for the V8, but I think it could please a lot of people. So let's begin with one feature that a lot of you waited, and it was removed somewhere in the early versions of PrestaShop 1.7, and you can finally filter your products by stock. So at least in my country, the item being in stock is the number one selling argument for the people if the prices are nearly similar. So if you are in a rush and you want something now, you want to just filter out of the hundreds products the ones that are in stock, and you can dispatch it immediately. And you couldn't do it before because there was only available and not available checkbox and not the in stock one. So right now there are three options, and you can check either in stock, which means if it has quantity more than 0, or products that are available. means either the quantity is above 0 or the back orders are enabled. And then there are not available products which have quantity 0 or less, and they cannot be back ordered. I think the last one is not really needed, but we kept it there. So I don't know, for example, a merchant can quickly see what's not in stock or something. The use cases could be there. But if you, and one more thing, I think this feature should be available in faceted search 3.8, if I remember correctly. So when it's released, you can immediately use it. And I think not even maybe a cache clear, but will be needed, but it's gonna be done automatically, I think. So just update the module when it's available, and you can use the feature right away. If you don't like the 3 checkbox version, you can customize it quite easily, because in the template you can access the facet type, and you can style only this filter, for example. So in Czech Republic, the normal thing is just the inbox checkbox, so you can filter it quite easily and hide the other things. And for example, if you have a collapse on filters, you can have it only on features and not on the stock, and have it separately and always open. One thing I tried to do, but I didn't get to finishing. It would be awesome if the filter could work on all pages. For example, on manufacturer's page, on best sellings, on a search page, and stuff like that. Because when you open a manufacturer page in front of it, and the company has like 1,000 products in your store, there's no way to filter it. And either you have like, I don't know how many pages in the bottom, which nobody will browse. So it would be awesome if it could work on that. So I spent some time on it, and I finished some stuff that you can easily click which pages you want to filter to show on. You can adjust the templates. I made the caching system. I made the tests, but then I didn't get to the main part, which is adjusting the database queries. But if somebody has a bit of free time and can help with this, we can make the filtering module even more awesome. Basically, right now it's on these special pages. It selects products from category from the home category with ID 2, and we need to adjust it so it gets either new products or best sales or where ID manufacturer is something. But maybe it's not going to be a difficult modification. So if anyone wants to help, just hit me up and we can do it for the V8. So it's awesome. Then I made some adjustments in group display in back office. The first one was on the create order page. We had some complaints when our employees were making back office orders, and the situation is usually like this: when a person orders 10 times as a guest, and then finally decides to be your like regular customer, and you offer some discounts or something, he will make an account on your store, and then you went to make an order for him in the back office. You search his name, and then you see this, and you don't know which of the accounts is the main one. Even maybe the email is the same. So I decided to add the customer groups, so you can finally see which customer to choose, and you don't have to think about it at all. If the customer has more groups, there's a default word in brackets, so you immediately see which one of the groups is the default one. There is no performance loss. I just made it so it's joined in one column during the database query. I just made a group concat of the group IDs to one column, and then I explode it in the PHP and assign the names. So there are no extra queries. There's just one single query to get the group names and then assign it in the loop, but there are no more performance loss. And as I said, if there are more than one group, you can see which one is the default by the word default. Then on the order view page, if you open the order view page right now, you can't see if the customer is registered. You can see it maybe by the registration date, but it's not very clear for the new users. And also, you don't know which group is the customer in. For example, if somebody calls you and you are with him on your phone, and you For example, I don't know, you discuss something about the order, yeah? For example, it's normal when we speak with a wholesale customer or a company customer that he's interested in prices without text. So you immediately speak with him a different way because he doesn't care about the price with text. Or, for example, you have a rule that you allow returns normally within the low period of 14 days in my country. But for example, on your VIP customer, you can extend it to, I don't know, half year or something. So it's good when you know the groups right away, so you can immediately have in mind the right things to tell to the customer without opening his page. So right now it loads the customer groups and they are shown under the customer name. If there are more than one customer group, it's marked by default. There are some improvements I thought of when making this presentation. I think it could be a good first issue. So if somebody wants to contribute and help with making this project awesome, you can maybe start with this. Sometimes when you open the customer detail page, there's a group box on the right side, but there is no designation which of the groups is default unless you open the or click edit on the customer page. So if somebody, for example, I don't know, calls you and you are seeing why something doesn't work or some is like discount doesn't work, and you see he's in this group, but you don't see which group is the default, which could be the problem, for example, in some cases. So it may be good if it's shown there. And then one case, imagine you go to the customer list and you have the similar situation as in the order create page. I search for my name and there are like 9 customers with my name, and without opening a million tabs, you don't know which of the customers is the right one to edit or to show. You know, if you want to check, I don't know, his sales or something. So it would be maybe good if there was a default group listed in the customer list, I think. And that's all for me. It was a bit quick.
Thank you, Daniel. Great job as always. Yeah, and if everyone is interested in contributing to PrestaShop, those are 2 good first issues. And maybe right now we will go to the questions and answers. I know that there are some questions about team. So Daniel, excuse me, I will ask Valentin and Scott on the stage.
Well, I think Daniel can stay if he wants because he did a lot on the team.
All
anyway.
right, yes, that's right. He's one of the main contributors to the team. All right. I think there was of course, there's love for the new team. I think we should show it. And there's a question from Marco. Are you guys planning to create a setting module or setting in the core that allows us to set the number of products per row?
Actually, the way it's done is that you add a parameter to the include of the product list, which contain some bootstrap classes in order to show how much items you want. So there are no features in the back office or inside anything else in order to configure it. But as a child temp, for example, you're able to override this file and change the layout of every product list of every modules. So this can be done. There is a workaround, but there is no feature in the back office, and I'm not sure that we will be adding this feature, but maybe just create an issue inside the repository if you want, and maybe we can speak with the product team in order to see if we want this feature or not. But actually, you can do it by just overriding anyway.
Okay, for those who don't know, the repository related to where is the center of the project is already published on GitHub. And we do have some questions about team, more questions. One from Frank. Are we going to try to have a 100 score online house?
Yes, and Daniel responded to the question. I think yes, this is a goal, but can we do it with jQuery, even if we don't use it? I don't know. And it's not the only thing left. We will try as much as we can, I think.
That's fine. I think on a fast server, I'm having like 99% of on everything except best practices, because there is jQuery UI included in the faceted search, which we removed in the front office, but the library will still be there, and the Lighthouse complains about that. But when this asset is unregistered, I think we can score 100% on everything, because Scott designed a nice valid contrast between everything. So that's one main thing to have. And if we use proper labels for the screen meters and everything, I think it's gonna be fine. And we want to have a new image system on the new theme. We are currently in the process of discussing it. That there will be maybe web piece and maybe AVIF sometimes, and we'll be using sort sets and everything. So it's gonna look awesome on all devices, and it's gonna be fast.
Yes, with some picture elements, and
Yeah.
this is something you can see on the repository anyway.
You can maybe do
There
even
is an
some
issue of
image
them.
preloading in the head, so the browser will start downloading the image right away, even before passing the CSS. So that's just this. I tested it, and it boosts the Lighthouse, or maybe or the largest contentful paint by like 1 second or maybe 2 seconds. So we can do it, I think.
Yeah. And as we are on the new team subject, I want to give a special thanks to everyone who contributed to the team, like Daniel, like Emparvazi, that you've seen did a demo before, Oxidan, which did the full rework on the Webpack feature, on the Webpack build. Thank you, Oxidan. And some more contributors speaking every day in the team, like Sharak and some others that I probably forgot. Thank you, everyone. Let's continue.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. And I don't see any more questions, only the love for all of the presentations. So we are a quick over our time, over 1 hour. So I will thank you again to our amazing speakers for today's presentations. And we will see each other. We'll see you all in next month for the second session of this year's public open source demo. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.